Okay, good morning. Let's see. Do we have sound? Sort of, yes. Let's move this a little closer. This is on. All right, good morning. I think we're set. Okay. Okay, good morning to everybody. For anybody new or catching this on the video, if you haven't seen this before, hello and welcome, first of all. Thanks for checking it out. My name is Tim. I go by Foamy Guy on GitHub and Discord. Cat just ran past me very fast. Typically, I work on CircuitPython related stuff, although I branch outside of those bounds from time to time. Today, we are, I would say, connected to CircuitPython. It's not something that runs on microcontrollers today, but it is something that is certainly still involving CircuitPython because it's using Blinka Display I/O, which is the compatibility layer. Let me just quickly say for anybody that may be new or catching this in the future, if you don't know what I'm talking about, CircuitPython, the main website for it, excuse me, is circuitpython.org. You can learn more there. This is basically a version of Python that runs on tiny computers called microcontrollers. You can plug those into your computer. Most typically, they show up like a thumb drive. You edit a Python code file on there, and then the microcontroller, the computer that are in these little boards and the chips in there, will actually execute that Python code for you. Yeah, I'm super glad my cat has decided right now is the time to like run sprints back and forth across the house. That's pretty awesome. Up and down the stairs. Okay, where were we at? Those are the microcontrollers. CircuitPython allows us to write Python code that runs on them. Today we're in Blinka land, Blinka Display I/O, to be even a little bit more specific. So Blinka is the name of a few things. Blinka is the name of the snake mascot, the snake here, but more technologically speaking, Blinka is the name for the compatibility layer that allows you to use CircuitPython code that would ordinarily run on a CircuitPython microcontroller like the ones we just talked about, and run it instead on like a Raspberry Pi or a single board computer, or underneath MicroPython instead of CircuitPython directly. So the single board computer take on that is more so what I will be messing with today, although in my case, we're not actually going to be on a single board computer like a Raspberry Pi. Instead, we have taken another leap a little bit further away again, and this library, which I made, integrates Blinka Display I/O with Pygame, which is a game framework for CPython, to make it so that you can run your CircuitPython Display I/O code on the PC. That's the goal of this project. That's what it does or did in the past. The thing is, when Blinka Display I/O 1.0, which is an update within the last probably month or so, came out, it restructured a bunch of the way that Blinka Display I/O works, and that made it so that this Pygame display, Blinka Display I/O Pygame display, no longer works with the new Blinka Display I/O. If you happen to be particularly interested in this topic and you want to see more about this library and this problem that I'm going to be working on today, I did work on this a couple of weeks back. I think it was on a deep dive, if I recall correctly, but I'm not 100% sure. But if you check the last couple of weeks of deep dives, and if it's not there, then it would be the last couple of weeks of streams on my channel here. If you are interested in this, there'll be another couple hours of stream if you want to check out kind of the precursor, the prequel, so to speak, to what you're about to watch, which is me working on this right now. Okay, so thanks to everybody for checking out CircuitPython. Thanks to Adafruit for making CircuitPython possible. This is their website, adafruit.com. As a reminder, over the weekend, if you use this FFS15, you can have 15% off. Adafruit pays the folks who make CircuitPython possible. They're paying the developers who work on the project, a team of developers who work on it full-time, and a couple of folks like me who work on it part-time are paid by Adafruit to do so. So huge thanks to them, and huge thanks to everyone who purchases hardware from them so that they can continue to pay for CircuitPython to exist, pay us to create it and work on it. Okay, so the place where we last left this off was it does not work. I was trying to get it to work, and if I recall correctly, the last place where we left it, well, I had tried several of these different formats, so I'm not positive which exact one is still coded in currently, but none of them worked. So yeah, none of them worked all the way. And another thing is about the last place where we left this is we were just saving like a temp.png, which is here. Yeah, and so we were expecting, well, we were hoping for, like, if this was working correctly, this image would be purple and green. I don't remember which one's which. I mean, from this, it looks like the outside would be purple and the inside would be green, but I don't know if that's actually true. I do know the two colors we want are purple and green, and it's not these two here. Let's try to run this. What was I running? Okay, it looks like I was running simple test. So for a couple of minutes here, I just got to try to get my bearings and get back to where we were. Okay. I'm going to close that for now. So one thing is we are crashing on that. I don't know. Did we actually end up overwriting this? Let me make a copy of that. In case it's actually like broken beyond even being able to do that. What's this? It's just refresh display. Does seem like it exists, but I think we just didn't get to there yet, right? I think we were just running this, trying to save the image. So when I did work on this last time, I don't actually have any of that stuff. When I did work on this last time, we did not even get to the point of filling in the black rectangle. So like when I run this, it spawns a black rectangle. We did not even get to the point of doing anything with that. We were, oh, that's interesting. Oh, okay, it is still there, just minimized. We were just doing this little save temp thing here, but it's not actually running even that part now. So we have somehow gotten further away from working. If we get super stuck, I'll go look at the last, at the tail end of the last stream. We could probably figure it out though. So we're not actually in here, right? Because we're not getting these. Let's take a look. What is this actually? This is refresh area. Refresh area. Let's also figure out which version of Blinka Display IO we have. Oh, okay. Well, yeah, that's not gonna work. So we need the new version. So I actually have the old version installed right now so that I could like run it and do stuff. There is a VM here. Are we not using that? What's this? Blinka. I mean, it says we are. I guess I just changed it at some point when I was in here. Okay, so let's just go ahead and do this. We are inside of the VM for this project. We will just update which I would have assumed is what that little arrow does, but I guess not. So let's go here. Let's go and does not seem to have actually done anything. So sometimes PyCharm does this to me. I don't like it when it happens, but it does happen. There's some disconnect between pip and PyCharm here, because like you go to here, you go install, it says boom, package installed successfully. You come back here and it's not any different. Did not install anything successfully. It still has the exact same one that was there before. But it doesn't realize that it failed. Okay, now we're updated. Okay, so we had some error stuff here. Got a lot more stuff printed. Printed this, which is error, auto refresh type stuff. We will probably need to fix that at some point. But we did get to our part of the code where we last left off, which is here, where we were basically converting it from, I believe it's PIL. Well, so we have raw bytes. So what we have as input is a buffer that contains raw bytes that represent what we want to show in a certain format. I think RGB, is it 565 or 656? I think it's 565, right? Because it's 16 bits total. I think it's in 565 RGB, and then it's inside this buffer. Basically, core.fill area fills this buffer for us based on the subrectangle that we asked for. In our case, I believe our subrectangle is the full thing. Yeah. Top left is 00, bottom right is 400 by 300, which that's the size of our display in this case. So we're having a buffer with bytes that represent the whole thing. What we're doing right now is we're loading that buffer into PIL. This is PIL image. Just validate that's true. I think that's true. Okay, I wish I could get a little more like, what is this type? Wow, where did we just end up? We're in a totally different place now. Image. Preferred type, image PYI. Interesting. This is PIL though, I'm pretty sure. Image.from bytes, that's PIL. We're giving it our buffer. We're telling it a format. Then we're just telling it to save, and then we're also telling it to print, which is, I guess, just doing with the object. We are printing the buffer back here. Let's turn that off because that's a lot. We don't really need that. We don't really need that. Let's not do that. We have length, dir. We probably don't even really need dir. I don't really see a dir anyway, truthfully, though. Let's try it like this. Okay, there is a dir this time. And then, yeah, it is a PIL image is what we have created so far. And I think we want to... When I was working on this last time, what I was trying to do was figure out how do I import this raw bytes data into PIL such that the colors come out correct so that we can then turn around and send them to Pygame from PIL and have it draw the right thing. But after having set it down for a while, thought about it periodically in the back of my head, and thought about it a bit more right now, I think that I want to maybe not do it that way. Because, like, if we solve this problem for how to get it into PIL, then we can, like, we already have the bit that gets it from PIL to Pygame. So then we will kind of be done, which is how it used to work. But in the new way for Blinka Display IO, and this is what I'm slowly kind of driving towards here as I talk through this, is being able to check and see if this is correct. I think that the new Blinka Display IO doesn't use PIL. How's it going, Ty? Hey, Tim. So this Pygame display, how far along is it? Would it allow me to prototype display IO stuff on Windows, WSL, Raspberry Pi, and Mac? Yes. It would allow you to do those things. I can speak mostly to Linux and Raspberry Pi. It should work on Windows. It should work on Mac. I'm pretty sure we've had people use it on both, but I don't personally do it on either of those platforms these days. But, huge caveat, which is that right now, which I added to the repo here, right now it's broken on Blinka Display IO. So that's what I'm working on right now, is trying to make it work on the newest versions of Blinka Display IO. If you go back to Blinka Display IO, this one, 0.11.1, and I will say another also medium-sized caveat is what Bablock B says here, is you also need to make sure you get the correct version of PIL. PIL 9.4 you need. Otherwise, you would need to like make a patch from sort of the new version, sort of the old version. So yeah, I don't know. It was in a state of like fully working and stuff, but then updates to Blinka Display IO broke it, and that's what we're trying to fix now. So if you kind of bump back a few versions and handle some of the differences, then it does work and it does allow you to do what you asked. And then if we manage to be successful today, or whenever I actually manage to finish it up, fixing it, then we'll get back to the state where that is also true for the current version of Blinka Display IO. Yep. So Blinka Display IO used to use PIL kind of a lot. Like, it used to store buffer, like it used to store image visual data bitmaps as PIL images. But I think it does not do that anymore. And when it did, like, that's how we ended up with our code in the Pygame display, where we were taking it from a PIL image to the Pygame display. When I had first sat down to do this, it felt most natural to just try to get back to a PIL image. It does actually say PIL here. Where is it used? I think it's not used anymore. Or would it be PIL? Font.io. It's used in Font.io only. Okay. But it used to be used a lot more. Pretty sure, right? If we like kind of take ourselves back a bit. How can I check out a tag? PyCharm check out specific tag from repo. How can I check out a tag? ECS get branches. ECS get branches? Is that where I'm at? Under remote. These are branches. Not what I want. Check out a tag or revision. Name. Git checkout tags slash tag dash b branch. Right with the terminal. I do need to know the number though, which I don't know off the top of my head, so we also need to grab that. I think we would want, well, we could take a 0111, I guess we do know. Okay, 0111. Yeah, thanks for that heads up, by the way. Git checkout tags. So I want 0.11.1 dash b, and then I'll go with, we want the main branch. Branch name main already exists. That's probably fine. I guess we could go 011. I think this is a new name, I guess, for the branch, right? Yeah, here we go. So we should, if I understand right, we should be in the state we were at 0.11.1. What's an easy way to verify that? Trickier said than done, I suppose, because the code doesn't get the versions. And okay, well, there's one way to verify. It's definitely different. We had a lot more PIL. Basically, everywhere where we had a bitmap, everywhere where we had visual data, we had a PIL image because that was storing that data. Okay, yeah, I'm confident we're in the old version now. Now we have a branch. Yeah, thanks for that, by the way, Bear. Appreciate that. Git checkout tag slash the tag you want, and then dash b the name of the branch you want to call it. I guess if you do no dash b, I guess you probably get defaulted to the tag name or something maybe. Or maybe you have to do a dash b, I don't know. Let's take it back to main now. And this is current main, and the only place that uses PIL anymore is font.io. No more bitmaps, no more display on this bitmap, none of that other stuff uses anymore. So I'm thinking maybe we don't try to get our raw buffer of bytes. That's what we have now, is this raw buffer. We used to have a PIL image, now we have this raw buffer of bytes. And before I was trying to take that raw buffer and get it into a PIL image and then get that into Pygame display ultimately is what we would do. But now I think we want to skip. I think I want to try to skip PIL. We want to load that raw buffer into Pygame, skipping PIL, and then we'll also have to worry about the format there as well. Load bitmap byte buffer. No, this is a file though. We don't want a file. Maybe load image from bytes. Load image from bytes. Byte buffer. How to display. Okay, let's see here. No, this is PIL. I mean, maybe we have to use PIL, I guess, but hopefully we're going to try to avoid it. pg.image.fromBuffer. That sounds promising. pg.image.fromBuffer. Is that here? From buffer. From buffer. Creates a new surface that shares data. New surface that shares data inside bytes. Buffer. From buffer. Buffer size format, and it gives us a surface. You'll have to, if anybody who happens to be watching is like actually familiar with Pygame, you'll have to forgive me. I am not super familiar with Pygame, so this will be a fair amount of me kind of like poking around in the dark, trying to get stuff done. My day job involves a lot of Git archaeology. Abstract the raw buffer into a class so that you can subclass the methods to output the desired formats. If we manage to get it working, I may do that, but I don't know how to do that, and so if I try to do that and get it working, I feel like I'll be in over my head even further. So we're going to try to get it hard-coded and ugly and spitting an image where it's supposed to go, and then maybe worry about refining it into a class after I understand what it's actually doing and how I manage to do it, if I do manage to do it. Good morning, C. Grover, as well. Nice to see you today. So one problem is there's a list of formats here. None of these formats are our format, I don't think, because ours is 565, which is only 16 bits. And we have 8-bit palletized, 24-bit different order. And those are 8. So those would be 8 bits per color. So those are 1 byte per color. So we need to find a thing that we have two options. We either need to find a different way to work with this, like if there's formats that aren't listed here, which, maybe we get lucky with that, but I kind of doubt it. Or what we probably want to do is we need to figure out a way to reformat what we have into one of these. Like we should be able to take our 565, get it into this, and it will lose precision or whatever, right? Like we won't use all the colors we have because our original image was in a smaller format, but once we get to there, we could then call from buffer on those bytes and end up with visually the same thing, I think. My limited understanding of computer visual theory. Let's see if we get lucky on a pygame.image.fromBuffer plus RGB565. That sounds like a cool day job, by the way. Get archaeology. There's a lot of jobs I would love to experience a little bit. I don't know if I could do it day in and day out all day every day, but I would love to deep dive to I get the problem is though, if I'm not using it every day, I won't remember it. That's my real problem, I guess, though. So it's like I could learn all of these things, but if I'm not using them, then I won't keep them very well. How's it going, Dexter? Snowbound here in the Beehive State. We're supposed to get some snow today as well. I don't know how much or when. I made a Blinka Display.io Pygame app on Replit. Nice. Let's check this out. Oops, I think I copied the wrong thing. Be message, copy text. I'm not familiar with this Replit. Oh. Oh, wow. This is rendering inside of there. Whoa. Yeah, that's really cool. First of all, the calendar, but also this thing in general. Whoa, okay, yeah, I don't like that. I don't care for that. I am team websites should scroll regular and stuff should not just happen like this. No. I just want to scroll down the page. Stop this. I don't want any of this. Anyway, what is it? What is this? Oh yeah, especially do not like that part of it. That part really actually bothers me. Is it it's almost, it feels like, what's the one where you can do the journals or whatever in the cloud Python? Is that kind of what this is? It's like a web-based Python environment, I guess, just editing environment. I mean, I say Python, maybe it does more than that as well. You're using it for Python. I got this SO for a clue answer. I got this SO answer for a clue, rather. Does this copy link work? Am I doing this wrong? Oh, okay, maybe I just found that copy link. Replit. I'll have to check into this a bit later. This looks super cool. I've never heard of this thing before. Looks like some kind of web-based shareable IDE. The ability to spawn that thing in here. Oh, I broke it by scrolling away or something. The ability to spawn that thing in here and be able to drag drop it is super cool. Create a service. Yes, this is us. Vote this person. RGB to surface. So you get a buffer. They're saying to use numpy from string buffer. Yeah, some of this stuff looks familiar to me. I don't really understand all this math. Like conceptually, I think I get it's kind of massaging us from 565 to somewhere else. Probably, I mean, 8, you went to 8, you went to 8, you went to 8. So probably to just what we said, the 24-bit one. And then it's from buffer there. It works, but it's tiled. Should have used column stack. They used... Ooh, okay, it's tough. They say, let's see, array equals. Okay, so up here. So instead of from string, they're saying should use column stack. Yeah, I'll put the answer too. Actually, it looks like what we need, I think. So we're inside refresh area. I think for right now, this exact second, I think what I'm going to do is make a inner function. We need np, so that's numpy. Is it, okay, is it smart enough? Surely it's not. Is it smart enough to figure out np is numpy? Oh, it is. That's so nice. Okay. Yeah, thanks for that link, by the way. Also, I'm not scrolled up here. Let me fix the chat here. Lots of languages, apps hosted online, useful for uploads, recently added AI. Awesome. Great for editing, built-in AI ghostwriter instead of concatenate at the end. Concatenate and end, I think. Okay, so then we did, whoops. Did say that we're gonna have this instead of the array here like that. We're gonna have RGB though. Oh, but okay, I'm with you. Concatenate at the end, you said as well. Didn't put 2 and 2 together, but I get it now. Column stack here where we do have, that's how we know for sure it has to be the end because we don't have RGB before. Fix the formatting. Is it, I mean, I don't know if it's, do they use image and surface as interchangeable? I think they do. Something like that. Maybe not quite interchangeable, but. So another problem though, this is not going to be our size. This is the size we need. How do we get it though? I think we need to pass it in, right? Because we don't, our buffer here is one dimensional, right? It's like a list. It represents in our world a 2-dimensional bitmap, but the actual data is 1-dimensional. We don't know how many rows and how many columns. We don't know that width and height of our 2-dimensional thing, and there's multiple possible ones, including the easiest one just being swap, right? It could be 400 by 300 and it would be this length, or it could be 300 by 400 and it would still be this length, and there's a bunch of other things it could presumably be as well. So I think we have to pass the size as well. I think we'll just do it as a tuple size. We'll drop that in here. And yeah, hopefully we'll be able to get it. I'm sure we will because we're printing this. Like, however we got this, this is basically what we need. NP is being used to slice a string, which is the one-dimensional list, into a matrix. Oh, I gotcha. Okay. I will freely admit to being very bad about just ganking code and using it, like understanding what it does, but not how it does it. So yeah, I definitely did not. I do appreciate because now I do have a better understanding of what it's doing. So I definitely appreciate it for sure. Left to my own devices, though, I will oftentimes get it, try it, and then if it works, not bother too much figuring out why. Which has its downsides for sure. Okay, here we actually just hard-coded this as well, so we need to actually probably find a way to do this. I think subrectangle is what did it, right? Isn't that? So subrectangle, and then that's what, so it has like a 2-string. What do we have for dir? Can we get like width height or? Size, width, which means it probably has a height as well. Are those really functions? See if we get 400 by 300. Or it crashed because that's not a function or something. Nope, we did it. Okay, 400 by 300. Perfect. So we have those. So then, yeah, we'll be able to pass those in. So let's get rid of this. Let's get rid of this. Let's get rid of this. Okay, what were... Yeah. Okay. So Pygame refresh. Now we need to actually figure out how to hook it up to start drawing. This is going to be a little tricky. Pin data for blanket display at 0111. Can test the new version when it's ready. Nice, thank you. Appreciate that. I need to merge the Circa PR. I would also appreciate another round of testing on that Circa PR, but it's not merged right now. I think it's good to go now on Windows and Linux. Like in my working branch, I think it's good to go. I need to merge that over to the PR branch. So we used to have Pygame refresh. Yeah, and it would... How did we get it into Pygame? Core current group fill area buffer. This is game refresh loop. Display flip. That's like refresh. I remember that now that I've seen it. I want to look at the current version of Pygame display, but I don't want to check it out. I want to keep my repo inside PyCharm where it's at. So we're going to head to GitHub. Where's the code? There it is. So how are we actually getting this? Pygame refresh calls flip and then continue if all that's true. They go through the groups and add each to the buffer. Core current group, if it's none, create an image and put it on buffer. It's saying add it to the buffer, but it's totally just setting it to the buffer. It does then say core current group fill area buffer. Save image to buffer, or probably refresh buffer so we can compare. Self.buffer.paste. Self.subrectangles. The refresh areas for area in subrectangles. Self.refresh display area. Refresh display area. Pygame surface. So we're basically starting here this time. We have a surface from our function if it works. We don't need to worry about this stuff. Pygame screen.blit, the surface. That's XY. Which is probably 0, 0. We could hard code it to test. I guess okay, they're here as well, so we could get them from there. Okay. So if our surface works, so do we still have Pygame screen? We must, right? Because oh, we still have refresh display area even. Is this getting called? No. Okay, that's good. I don't know if we want it to be refresh area. I don't know if we need it in its own function. I mean, I guess we could. I'm just going to stick it here for right now. So we would want to get our surface. I'm going to call it image surface just to be extra. Attribute surface, that's our buffer, and then our size is subrectangle.width. We need a tuple though. Sure, I'll give the circuit up. Nice, thank you. I will let you know once it's actually merged. If nothing else, what I'll do is I'll do that at the end of the stream today. That way we can get that set up. I do appreciate it. Yeah, if you have a Pygame screen, you could blit directly to the screen. This refresh area is used to efficiently update an existing screen buffer with only rectangles. It could be used for that. That's the intention of the majority of the code. If I understand correctly, the last time I dug through it, at least, and I'm not as familiar with the new version, so maybe the new version is different, but at least as of the last time when I figured this stuff out the first time, it had some code for that, but it was not actually necessarily using it at the time. It was always giving you a subrectangle of the full screen. But it's kind of like has the groundwork laid for if you did figure out the correct ones, you could do that. And maybe it does now, I don't know. I do know that our current subrectangle is 400 by 300, which is the size of our display. But we did also effectively write to the entire display, right? Because we would have changed it from blank to, that image we saw earlier, basically the full hello world thing. So maybe it's just for the first frame that we have the full one. I don't actually know. Yeah, that's the intention, but I don't know how much of it actually does do with the efficiency of the smaller subrectangles. So it was image surface, and then it was XY. which for us is going to be subrectangle is x1, y1. Are those properties? Yeah, I guess, right? Sounds like they optimize for memory. Keeping a lot of subrectangles in memory is a heavy pattern. Yeah, I don't know about the, all of it's a bit over my head as far as the trade-offs. I do know specifically with Blinka Display.io Pygame display, with this library here, I made no attempt at efficiency whatsoever. In the original one, we were effectively just looping, like for looping a bitmap, ultimately. So it made no real attempts at efficiency at all in the original one of these. But it was fast enough to work, which surprised me when I first got it working. But like animations, like smooth animations, are not necessarily a thing you can do this way, unless you have a really fast computer. You do have a really nice computer with a graphics card. Pygame can actually do some amazing stuff, even though you're not being very efficient about it. Let's see, I think, is that all we need? I think that might be. Let's try again finding the original one. Oh, wait, that's a tuple. Okay, that's a tuple. Okay, there we go. And then do we have to call flip? I think we have to call flip. I think you have to call flip. That's like refresh or draw. Okay. Send it. Let's see what we get. It's not any worse. We got a black window still. We don't have anything on it. Okay, so we got this. What does this say? RGB surface, type error from string argument must be read-only bytes-like object, not a memory view. Okay, so it does not like our buffer. It's not like our buffer. Our buffer apparently is not what it wants. This part will be tricky for me. I have no idea what our current thing is, but I would assume this is probably wrong, honestly, right? Unsigned int 16, is that right? I wouldn't think so, but maybe. I mean, I guess that does kind of, it does make sense, right? Yeah, no, that does make sense, because you have 565, that's 16 bits. Okay. From string, argument 1 must be read-only bytes-like object, not memory view. So I suspect there's a way we could convert a memory view to a bytes-like object very inefficiently by just creating a new one. I don't know if that's what we want to do, but it's not like the first argument to be a NumPy array. Refresh. Okay, let's see. Sounds okay. Yep, worked. So that's a W. Flip IRC is required to take the buffer and transfer it to the active. Okay. Flip. It's a good way to think of it. Flip it from the kind of working buffer to the real one that's visual. That's giving me a note saying 1 octave below. What? 1 octave? Oh, this is. Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't know. This is for sound. Must be. I'm sure we somehow just need to convert this to something different, but I don't actually. Buffer. So buffer is a memory view. Okay, what is Python memory view versus buffer? I mean, buffer's not really a thing, is it though, I guess? Read-only buffer. View is built-in, creates a memory view object that allows code to access internal data of its buffer without making a copy of it. Do you need to coerce it as bytes? I think so, yes. But I also don't know exactly how. Is it as easy as just wrapping it with bytes? Well, so we need to do it. Where do we need to do it? We need to do it after this, right? We need a memory view because this thing, I'm pretty sure, is expecting that memory view, but then and is filling it with data. And then once we get that data, is it as simple as just going like bytes? I mean, I assume this is making a copy of everything in memory, which again is certainly not efficient, but. Okay. Did not crash for the same reason. It does say no attribute flip. I think I probably game screen.flip. Is it not? Is it something else for flip? It might just be pygame.flip, right? Maybe you don't call it on the screen. I think maybe you don't call it on the screen display. Pygame.display.flip. Fingers crossed. There's kind of, I don't know what's up with this delay. There's like a weird delay where it's not, oh, yes. Yes. That's what we're talking about. That's very bright pink. I think I said purple earlier. Apparently it's pink. Let's check, actually. Let's check. Are the colors right? Let's not get ahead of ourselves. The green, I think, is definitely. What did we run? Simple test. Where's that at? Yeah. It is. Yeah, green. It calls it purple, but I call it pink. And yellow for the text, which is all correct. That is awesome. Did I already upvoted the question and the answer here, did I? I don't know if it's locked. Excuse me. I think the theme, my dark mode theme, makes it hard to tell. I think I already upvoted these two, but I'll report to AB Dalk Raider. I don't think I said that right, but also the person who linked it. Was that Bear, I think? For Bear for linking it in the chat here. Oh, there's also this. There's this SOPIL doing bytes IO. Read a PNG encoded, stored into a NumPy array. I gotcha. Okay. That is awesome, actually. So did the rest of this stuff work? No module shapes. Anchor test. Oh, wow. I mean, this one's a little bit big. Yeah, this one would be bad for the way we did bytes. Like, I don't know if this works, actually. Why is it so big? 17. Oh, yeah, it's working because it anchored it to the center. Nice. Okay, let's not commit. Let's go do a little bit of cleanup. There's like a bajillion commented out prints and everything in this. One question will be is, do we want to keep this stuff here or do we want to actually move it to its own function like it was before? I'm kind of a mind to just leave it here, honestly. Refresh area, this is already being called by the core code effectively, so like, I mean, we could add it, but I don't know that it really changes anything. We can get rid of all this. This was all PIL experiments. We can get rid of all of these prints. We can get rid of all of these prints. This one I don't know about. This feels like new Blinka Display.io code that I commented out so that I didn't have to deal with it. Doesn't have syntax errors, but it also creates this, which doesn't get used. It got used down here. Huh. If color space is greater than 8, Color space depth. I do not know what that means. It looks like we don't need it though, because its output was this, right? This was the output, the side effect, the thing that changes or happens. To me, I mean, maybe this does something. I'm not sure, but to me it looks like it creates this, and then in the original code that got used down here. And when I say original code, I mean Blinka display.io, because this is trying to send over a SPI bus or something, right? Either a SPI bus or I2C or whatever. But we don't have that anymore. And therefore, I think we don't need this anymore. Although it is weird, it was like color depth. Maybe there's some like, maybe there's some color depths that we would have a problem with now. That's possible. We could get rid of these. Can't acquire display bus, skip the rest of the data. Yeah, we don't have that because we're not sending it on a bus. And there's no analogous, there's really nothing analogous to can't acquire the display bus. I guess maybe if Pygame failed to initialize or something, but it would have crashed. So if Pygame failed to initialize, then we did not make it to here. Therefore, I don't know. It's ensuring the transmit buffer is sized appropriately for the color depth beyond 8-bit, the default. I gotcha. I wonder if we would need to do that. I wonder why the output of that is not necessary somewhere in here. It feels like it should be. I might have done something wrong. We may need to get that value and use it somewhere. I'm not sure. I'm not sure exactly how you would go about changing the depth of the entire display. So I don't know. It might be the case where we're not. Maybe that's like. Well, okay. The one other example I would know of is a black and white display. A display that only does like just on, basically. Like there's a couple OLED displays that are like they have white pixels that turn on, and when they turn off, they're black. So it's like 1 bit. Maybe that's what it's for. You could always just draw with black and white with this way. I don't know. We'll forge ahead and see. I think we don't need this. This is all old. This is all old. I think we're already basically handling this stuff the right way now. I don't know why we did this. Yeah. This used to effectively get called from that like refresh areas or whatever. The place where all of our business code is now. This used to get called from there. And some of this code, you know, is recognizable, right? Like we still have this parts. I think we just don't need this anymore though. We just do a refresh the normal way, right? Like this. I don't think we need this. I don't think we need this. I don't have any memory of this. It's possible somebody else added this. There have been a few people who have submitted code to this repo over the years. If I did actually write this, I have no memory of it. It seems weird though, right? Why would we need to do like another init, get the size, and then quit that? Like, shouldn't we be able to get it from our existing one? And if we seriously can't actually get it from our existing one, we could at least just save it here, right? Like, we're getting width and height in the constructor. We could just save them as self.width and self.height and then return them from here. Maybe it's meant for after it changes? Can you change it? No, I can't change it though. Oh. Oh no, that's PyCharm. Yeah. I was getting tricked there because I saw the resizer, but that was from this. So we can't actually change it. Yeah, I don't know what this is about. I don't know why we would want or need to do this. Is this called from anywhere? It is actually. Oh, okay, there's a full screen. Okay. Interesting. I did not know you could do that. Can you set them to 0? You set them to 0, do you get full screen? I assume it takes longer to start up. And if you don't have a lot of RAM, oh, actually that was pretty quick. If you don't have a lot of RAM, it's probably, again, bad the way we just did that bytes on the memory view. Oh, I don't know. Are we still running? Well, we took out all the prints. We do have that auto refresh error. It does not appear that that worked either, though. We're not actually getting anything. I think it would be... I did expect it would take it longer, but I don't think it would have taken it that much longer. We do need to fix this still. This is happening every time. We need to figure that out. Doesn't seem to actually crash it, but it does print this as red. There's a reference in the Pygame init doc. It talks about the display, and if the depth is greater than 8, it will use packed color modes. A bit depth of 0 will force Pygame to introspect and choose the best bit depth. Interesting. I have no idea what I would have set, what we would have it set for currently. I do like the idea of just choosing the best based on its... Default is 0. Okay. I mean, I think we're good then, actually. Yeah, we would have changed it. Let's look at our init. Yeah, so I don't pass anything to init. I think it'll keep the default, which it sounds like a 0, which means it's kind of like, oh, hey. Why is this here? Do we need this? Turn this off. Oh, I still have the zeros. Need to fix that. Close some of this stuff. I'm also gonna take my hoodie off. Be back in 1 second. We still have that display, that delay though. Also, I do seem to have broken something. I'm gonna get the auto refresh thing this time. Did I break? It was still in a working state. Okay, I'll be right back. Okay, warming up in here. So I really thought all the stuff I took out was non-functional? Does the sleep really break it? No, that does not seem to have had any effect. So I broke it when I was deleting stuff. I thought all the stuff I deleted was prints and unused things. This was commented out. I think it was working here. That's odd. So one thing that is weird too, I'll have to go back and, yeah, I forgot about this. We were having a weird problem with the order of the imports. Actually, yeah, I forgot all about this. The good news is maybe since we're not using PIL anymore, hopefully that problem is a little less exacerbated, but you can see I was adding all of these imports here. I mean, these prints. Basically, what I was finding is that the order my imports were in mattered actually quite heavily because it wasn't working when the imports were in the original order. And I never did chase it down to figure out why. What did I possibly break here, though? So not even every time, but sometimes we get this. We still need to fix that. But right now it's working. This rendered. Everything's good. So I'm going to delete this, which is a comment. So that should have no effect on the code because it's a comment. Okay, very good. Now I'm going to delete all of this, which is also a comment. I must have just ganked an extra line somewhere without realizing it, I guess. What? Well, that's a new one on me. I don't even know where to begin. That is counter to most of the things I thought I understood about Python. That can't. That doesn't make any sense. Yeah. My only even shot in the dark don't actually believe it, but it's literally the only thing I can even remotely think of, is we have a race condition, because we also don't see that auto refresh error every time. Like sometimes we're getting that refresh error, and sometimes we aren't. So my hypothesis, I don't think actually makes that much sense, but it's all I've got, is that this code somehow makes this file take longer to import and execute, even though it's a comment, just by virtue of the fact that it's more data. That's my only even remote kind of guess. And because we have a timing issue, that extra time is resulting in it not working. See, like here, this is the other thing that makes me think we have timing thing going on, is the fact that sometimes we get this and sometimes we don't. But now I remove just the first half and it still works. Move just the second half. And it works. Because like that time.sleep 3, that I don't get the need for either. The fact that there was a random time.sleep 3 makes me think that there's some invisible, if you try to draw too soon, then it doesn't work type thing going on. And like somehow we are like right on the edge of it right here. And this is somehow causing us to jump to the other side, but that's very bizarre. Smells like race condition. Thread errors like that mean it's doing something very unsafe. Very unsafe memory operation, and the race condition is impacting who wins. Put a sleep after the flip. Does it require time to execute before a GIL? That's a good thought. Let's, were we doing anything before? Well, I put it back now. We were not doing anything before. Or, no, this is... Okay, yeah, this one's not used anymore, and it was just doing flip with no. One thing is, though, do we want to do time.sleep, or do we want to do, isn't there like a pygame.sleep? Would we want to do that one instead? Is that the appropriate place to call flip? I don't know. It works to draw the screen. But like, I mean, I had mentioned before, I'm kind of just poking around in the dark a bit. I managed to get this to work the first time, so it makes it seem like I understand what it's doing, but the truth is, it's like, kind of got lucky. Is the way I feel about it. I don't actually understand fully what it's doing all the way. But it draws this display, which is pretty cool. That does seem to have done it, though. I think you might be onto something. Our thread.sleep here is helping, because now I've deleted the extra lines. And it's still working. Yeah. Interesting. I suppose it's probably not even like, it might not even need to be a full 1/10 of a second. Although, maybe we should keep it bigger. Err on the side of safety. Let's try to search. I mean, is that a commonly known thing? Pygame plus Need to sleep after flip? Game.time. Would we want to use that instead of sleep? If I recall correctly, we were... We can get rid of PIL. It's nice. Yeah. See, I think what was happening is when we had the imports in a different order, it was actually not even making it to here. It was just crashing before that or something, I think. As if we move this. I'd have to go back and watch the old stream to know for sure what the exact symptom we were seeing was, though. Okay, well, yeah. Well, I will say it took a lot longer that time. We eventually got there, but there was a way bigger delay before. So I'm going to put this back, I think. I'm going to go Pygame up front, first import. Like, maybe it has some initialization it does? I don't know. I do want to go back and try taking out that time.sleep3. Morning, DJ Devin. Nice to see you today, my friend. That would force the pause to honor the internal clock tick. The using the Pygame time one, I think, is what you mean. Time.sleep one is still asleep. It's on time delay. Yeah. Right, but we want, what I'm debating here is, do we want to use the Pygame concept of sleeping instead of the time.sleep? The sleep seems fairly mystical, honestly. I don't fully understand why the sleep is necessary to make it work. Somehow we've broken it again, though, by taking out that comment. So we really are, like, on this strange edge here. I don't like that at all. Because I wonder, like, how much other code is going to randomly push this above or below this weird edge of not working. What did we leave that sleep on? I will try the Pygame sleep. Let's see if that has any effect. Put on 0.05 right now. Pygame.time.delay. Pygame.time.delay. Milliseconds. Say 10 milliseconds. Well, we're doing 20 milliseconds right now. Let's do that. No, does not work actually. As if it's bigger. What about if we take out our big comment now? That's so weird. I've never seen a case where comments, deleting or not deleting comments, having such a stark impact on the behavior of the code is not a good thing, I don't think. Yeah, see, here we're on like coin flip land. I had a successful run just a second ago and it worked and it displayed, but we ran the same thing. And I just run the same thing and now it didn't work. Yeah. Does it always work when we get the auto refresh error and vice versa? That time we got no error and it did not work. This time we got the error and it did work. This time we got no error and it did work. That's not the pattern. Boy, I don't like this though. I was going to say, does that make it more reliable? But no, it doesn't. In fact, right now it does not seem to work anymore. I almost want to rip out the threads altogether. The reason the threads are there is for auto refreshing to work, which was cool when it worked, but I don't want this kind of problem. And I don't think auto refresh is worth it. I almost just want to go back to manual refresh, even though it kind of sucks compared to auto refresh and it's not the same as display IO. But this is like not a kind of problem that I'm very interested in tackling, basically. Well, now I have both and it worked. I mean, it doesn't seem like pygame.time.delay is better. This part doesn't seem better to me. I think time.sleep is gonna win here. Yeah, even with a very huge display, that does not get us anywhere useful. First world, the lowercase s is a sin. Auto refresh feels like fancies for fancy's sake. I mean, it's not necessarily for fancy's sake. It's to match the way that core display IO behaves, which I would love to do. But if it means that every time you run it, it's a coin flip whether or not it's going to work, and if it means that comments existing or not become crucial to whether or not the code works, and it means that depending on whatever's in your CodePy here, like I presume there's stuff we could do in here, either with like adding sleeps or adding more code at the wrong place that would make this not work. I don't know that that's true, but it feels like it probably would be true since we have this weird does it or doesn't it work on any given run. Now, I will say right now we're on a pretty good run. This is with the time.sleep, so the time.sleep definitely feels better than the pygame.time.delay. And like, yeah, I don't know. I would like, in the ideal world, we match core display.io's API, which includes auto refresh. And it's on by default. So like most people assume that that's just the way things are without even thinking about other options. I would like to match that. But I don't like this kind of problem at all. This does not bode well for like actually being able to use the library consistently, right? Like, I mean, maybe there's a place where we can fix it. So this time I took out that sleep and it worked. So that sleep doesn't seem to help it. And we spawn a lot faster now, which is nice. Does still fail sometimes. Okay. I'm maybe getting it right. Well, but no, because that's this. Ultimately does. Is this running? Try to answer that. Oh, I clicked through to somewhere without realizing it. Is this running? It's not running. Or if it is, it's not printing to here. Oh, it ran once. It ran once. Why doesn't it keep going? Byte array is just mutable bytes. The read interfaces are identical. Not sure what that means. It feels like this should be looping. Feels like this should be getting called over and over, but it's not. Yeah. This used to loop. And it doesn't anymore. So the times it doesn't work, basically, we're calling refresh before it's ready, whatever that means. And the times it does work, we're waiting to call refresh until after it's ready. If we would be properly looping, though, then the times it doesn't work, it would just work on the next time that it loops, presumably, or the time after that, or whenever it's actually done doing whatever it's doing that's making it work. I have no idea what this means. Is set. I have no idea what that means. I will say, too, all of the threading that's in here, I did not actually add initially. Somebody else did. And I don't really do a lot with threading in Python. Let's say it's nowhere near my forte. I think we just want this loop, though, right? That's looking to me like we're just not looping correctly, which means probably if we were, like, changing stuff, it would be failing, right? Like, if we said, well, we're trying to update the color. Yeah, let's try that. Does that work? I don't think it will work. Will it work? Even on one of the times when it shows? It will. Or did it? Well, it changed to red, but it's never changing again after that. Changed once. So, but it's still only called refresh once. So it's not continually calling refresh. Otherwise, this color would be changing more and more and more. Okay. Yeah, I think we're onto something here. I think we are onto something. I have no idea what this means, but it looks like it's going to be an infinite loop, basically. Yeah. Now the color of this is changing. Weirdly, it's changing on each letter, which I don't think we actually want to happen. But it's at least going. I think maybe we need more stuff. Like, why do we not have? Yeah, we want this probably. If not auto refresh and not force update. Not sure why we had this. It feels weird though, honestly, because it feels like our flip is at the beginning of our call, right? Like we're in a loop, we sleep, If this stuff is true, we call flip. And then continue, which I think continue means go back to the next iteration of the loop. Presumably, the logic will be different, or will it just keep calling flip? Maybe I misunderstand continue. Down here is the code where it's doing the PIL and the buffer transfer and all that. Is it? Maybe it's not. No, it's not. Okay, so it was calling refresh areas. So inside there is the where. I don't know if we want this. This part doesn't feel... This part feels awkward to me because the code down here is gonna modify what's visually showing, but then the code up here is what's gonna call flip so that it actually is visible. But why not call flip after the code down here that's actually like changing what would be showing? Okay, well, we call flip in here again anyway. Okay. Okay. We are calling flip in there anyway. I guess this is... I don't know. I'm not exactly sure why this needs to be here. This seems good. Let's take this. Because otherwise our refresh is really fast. Like as fast as my computer can run it. Which is not what we want, I don't think. It's still going per letter, which I don't really think it should. There's also a lot of prints. Where is all this coming from? Oh, wait. Why is this true every time? Also, that's not good. Oh, it's not every time. That was only the last time. Duh. Okay. Inside, okay, let's turn that off. Inside over. Oh, right. We were turning these things off. I started deleting this stuff, and that's how we got into the rabbit hole of why do comments change behavior. Okay, now we print way less stuff, which is nice. How's it going, Johnny? Nice to see you, my friend. Yeah, that's what continue does. Okay, so I have continue, right? So I guess that's like trying to say if you... Oh, okay. I guess that's trying to say like if auto refresh is false, and then there's also like a secondary force refresh, which I'm not sure the use case of, but it's there. If that's false, then it would just call flip. I mean, I can put it back. I don't think it will. Right now, we're just doing auto refresh true, so it definitely won't have an impact right now. It's kind of bizarre, though. So this one should just not up. It shouldn't show anything, basically. Okay. So something is not actually respecting the auto refresh right now. Which I guess is part of our half the time it gives us that error, maybe, is to do with that. Okay. I'm gonna delete these and then run it again, I guess, since we need to run it after we delete comments. Are you serious right now? Are you serious right now? So I thought I understood it. Just needing the loop to call refresh again, but we're back to like universe is broken. Just stuff that was foundationally accepted as true in my head no longer is for some reason. It's not a very fun feeling. Okay, the good news is I took them back out and it's not doing it anymore. So if we get a few more times of not doing it anymore, maybe I will be willing to just pretend like I didn't see that. I'm gonna put them back just in case. Okay. So I guess we do need this in the case where auto refresh is false. I should also copy that exception one of these times. I wish I could force that exception. I should have traced through that before now since we're not getting it every time. I don't know how to trigger it. I wish I could get the history of this. I think you can. Why did that open this? Oh, I guess it did that. I don't know why it opened that. I clicked this here up to the stack trace. I don't know. Make any sense? Running into a lot of that with 827. No, that's not. I think that's different. Whatever you're talking about, because we're on Blinka Display IO. It has nothing to do with 8.2 anything, because we're not touching the core at all here. This is foundationally Python doesn't work how it does work, how it doesn't work. Basically, threading is making things that shouldn't be possible in a logical system happen. Okay, that's what we want, I think. So we do need that to cover the case when auto refresh is false. If we actually call refresh once, will it work? Kind of doubt it, but maybe. Okay, so it worked, but it also seems to have like made auto refresh on somehow. Because it's still updating. Even though it shouldn't be. If we have threads doing unsafe operations, then it's going to be a coin flip if the memory is accessed good or bad data between runs, then it's bad. The code reading is bad and failing. Save your traceback. Yeah, I need. Oh, we got a new one. Thank you. It's like, yeah, I need to. I wasn't actually looking. Also figure out where it's at. So it's going to init display.background. Setting auto refresh here. Side background, run background refresh tasks. So I think part of what might have happened here, is that true? Yeah, okay. So part of our problem here is that well, is that true? I was gonna say originally Blinka Display IO had no threading involved at all. But now it has this, but it doesn't use this. Does this get used ever? In main. What? Shouldn't have done that. Have done that. Not have done that. The only place in the entire project where it has this, it's right here and it sets it to none. But that cannot be true because PyCharm would cry about it not being used. But it is true because I just did a grep and there's nowhere else where it mentions this. Okay, well, my theory, my hypothesis was about to be Blinka Display.io used to not have any threading involved at all, and maybe now it does. And it seems like maybe, I don't know, question mark, at least there's a variable that would imply that it could. And maybe that's clashing with our thread, which is in Pygame Display. But now that we're here and now that we're looking at this and now that we see that there's literally nowhere else where it says refresh thread. Okay, but there is threading. This is, I think, part of our problem. I think this did not have threading before. If I check out 0.11.1 and we run that same grep. This one's weird, though. This one I don't get still. This one, I don't understand how we have this set to none and not used anywhere else, but like the IDE is not complaining about it being unused, and why is it there if nothing ever uses it? Or is it actually necessary? Maybe it's not actually necessary. Okay, I was wrong. There totally is threads in 0.11.1 too. Really? I didn't know that. I think, okay. I mean, yeah, I don't know what to do then. So it's different. This was, in the new version, it's like background thread.start if background thread is alive. In the old one, which is what's here, it's... Okay, here we go. I think we just solved the mystery of refresh thread. In the old one, refresh thread got set to none, and then later on it got set to a thread. Pygame display has no attribute auto refresh. So I think what's happening is that this is getting called, it's trying to access auto refresh with the underscore. So init should create auto refresh right here and set it to false. As of right here, auto refresh should exist, and that error that we got should not be possible. But 338. So we go on to initialize core. And then we actually set auto refresh again. We do a bunch of stuff. We set the property auto refresh as opposed to the underscore. But 338 inside background, for whatever reason, sometimes when it gets to here, it doesn't exist yet. Who calls this? Background from init. Who calls this? This does. So when you init, when you import display IO, because this is inside of init of display IO. So when you import, and this is at the root level or far left here. So when you import display IO, that is starting this background thread, which is a while true loop, which loops over the displays and calls display.background. So yeah. If you import display IO and then you don't create your display fast enough, then display init will not have been called yet, but background will get called and it will try to access auto refresh, which doesn't exist because init. But why do we have displays? There should be no displays if we have not initialized the displays. And once we have, so there's some time there, which is why it doesn't happen every time. There's a gap of time. There's a gap of time after. There's a gap of time after this. Well, not even after. So like our simple test calls this to create Pygame display. And inside of here, while this is happening, there is a period of time where sometimes we have a display in this. Therefore, our loop here goes inside of here, calls this, and when it gets to here, though, it doesn't have an auto refresh. So that window of time is where the display exists inside this loop, but its init function is not done yet. We're still inside of here, and in fact, we are somewhere before this line. So there's some period of time where we exist in this as a display, but this has not executed yet. And due to that, it calls background here before auto refresh exists. We get that error. Let me catch up on the chat also. Sorry, I was deep in it there, but I think that's got to be what's going on. Let's see. Save your traceback. Yeah, thank you again, by the way, for the reminder on that. I was totally not paying attention when that came up. So the hook where the thread, So the hook where the thread can refresh can be triggered is not being established. This explains your import order oddness. Yes, I agree with that as well. The import order, because that, well, kind of, maybe. I'll go with a maybe on that. Because of this, I would think the order, I don't know. But knowing knowing that this does happen when we import, knowing that this starts on import makes the import weirdness make a lot more sense. Yeah, if it's, whether I understand it specifically or not yet, I don't think so, not exactly, but I can rationalize when we import, that's kicking off this, which is doing all sorts of stuff. And I can definitely believe that some of that stuff is causing our trouble. Add an attribute exist check. We could do that. Yeah, that's probably, that's probably the best. Let me think about it a little bit. I'm not sure though, because the place where we would need to add that would be inside display.io, Blinka display.io. My instinct is that this is a problem with Pygame display specifically. My instinct is that this is not a thing that could happen if you were using what I'll call a normal display over SPI or whatever. I don't know that to be true, obviously, because we're not testing it. If that's the case, though, if that is accurate, that this is a thing that is only affecting Pygame display, then I would like to try to fix it on the Pygame display side rather than adding the extra code here, even though the extra code here could help to fix it, basically. Like if we added a has-adder auto refresh, theoretically it could work. But I mean, we have the same problem with these, right? Presumably all of these are also initialized in init. So we'd actually have to say like has-adder this and has-adder these things and has-adder this, all of them in order to be safe. Or we could do a try-catch, I guess, which would be less code. I think, though, if it is true that it's only Pygame display, I'd rather fix it on that side. We need to somehow decide if that's actually the case. It may or may not be. If it is, though, I'd like to fix it on that side. I had to check that there's an existing display during the auto refresh. But the thing is, there is an existing display because of that for loop. If there was no existing display, then, I mean, like my guess is presumably, like I haven't traced all the way through the code, so I could still be wrong. But the way I'm reading it is if there was no display, this would still be empty. So it's like we're in this weird little gap where there is a display, but init on the class is not done yet. Init, like we're inside of init somewhere, and some part of the code believes that this display exists. That's this part here. But some other part of the code is like we're not done with init, therefore like we exist, but we don't have all the things we're supposed to have. Maybe we need like display.is ready or whatever, right? Maybe we need like a boolean that we set to true at the end of init, and then inside here we could loop, and then we could say like, is that boolean true? So actually we would need to set it to false at the beginning of init and then true at the end. That way we cover the whole window, and then we could check it here. But it does still get me back to the same place where if it is a problem with something the way that the Pygame display is doing it, I'd rather fix it over there than add the extra boundaries on the Blinka display.io side. If we have to venture into Blinka display.io, or if it turns out to be that this is possible for regular displays too with SPI bus and whatever, if it's possible for them, then definitely there should be a fix in here for it too. That could be a normal Pygame display over SPI. I'm not sure I follow there. In my mind, it's either a Pygame display or it's like a SPI display, a hardware display. Extra delay would mean it never happens. Sure, I follow. It's messy, but you could add a semaphore to flag. Yeah. Yep. It might be worth talking with Melissa a bit. I suspect that it's only a Pygame display problem because Pygame display is also using threading inside of here. I think that the other displays probably aren't, but I don't know. And I'm guessing what's happening is the reason why it's also seemingly random is like sometimes one display gets done first and sometimes the other one does or whatever, and they're kind of competing to figure out who finishes. The other thing I would say that is still a problem too is the fact that this is still refreshing, right? I set auto refresh false here, but this is actually behaving as if auto refresh is true, which theoretically it shouldn't. It should have just refreshed once here, shown us with the yellow text, and then we should have just been stuck on the yellow text because while this is happening, nothing should have been calling refresh, but something is. Okay. I am going to commit. We're definitely not in like a good, ready to actually like release it or whatever, update it. That we're not ready for that yet, but we're closer. We're drawing stuff on the screen, which we weren't doing when we started, and we are drawing the right color of stuff, which we also weren't doing when we started. All right. That's pushed though. I think I'm gonna take off for now. Pretty happy we got it showing. I'm a little scared of what's going on, but I think if we, I think I'll be able to get it into a usable state. Basically, I'm confident we can get it to a usable state. This part's wigging me out a little bit. I don't know what to do about the auto refresh. We're gonna have to dig around with our thread a little bit, maybe add some logic in there that's like trying to figure out why it's actually refreshing when it's not supposed to. But I'd say I'm confident that we're gonna get there. Definitely more confident than when I first sat down today, so moving in the right direction. Thanks for the stream. Hopefully I get it all figured out. Have a good weekend. Yep, you too. Thanks for hanging out, everybody. I'll be back for sure next week on Saturday. I don't know about deep dive yet, so keep an ear out probably during the meeting or sometime this week. I don't know about deep dive. I got to talk to Scott at some point. But I'll be back next Saturday for sure. Saturday mornings, 10 a.m. You can follow if you want notifications and all that stuff. Hope y'all have a good day, good weekend, all that type of stuff. And I will catch you next time. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for all the help as well in the chat. Got lots of help from folks in the chat today. Really, really appreciate it.